Zane had been Makoto's childhood friend. They had always played together, and even as they grew older, their bond remained unchanged. But then came the day when demons rampaged across the earth. During the chaos, a group of demons chased Kazane and her older brother. Her brother, sensing the danger, turned back to hold the demons off, urging Kazane to run. She hesitated, wanting to stay, but he insisted, telling her that she at least had to survive. With courage, he faced the enormous demon alone, but the creature's power was far beyond that of any human. Kazane could only watch in horror as her brother was killed before her eyes. 2 years ago, around the same time, both Kazane and Makoto received their sacred stones. Makoto had apologized to her then, admitting that his divine spirit still hadn't appeared. Even though they had promised to fight together, it seemed unlikely he'd be able to fulfill that promise. Kazane, with an emotionless expression, told him she understood, but that she couldn't afford to wait. She turned and walked away, joining the Hunter Association without him. In the present, sitting together in a cheerful cafe, Kazane beamed as she told him the parfait here was the best. She also praised him for solo clearing a D-rank dungeon right after forming his pact, to which he reminded her that he was still an F rank. She brushed it off, telling him it was impressive nonetheless, and that he was living up to his name, Makoto. But her curiosity soon turned to his divine spirit, and she eagerly asked what kind of spirit he had formed a pact with. Makoto froze, unsure of how to respond. Rinoa chimed in, saying she could appear at any time, but Makoto whispered that it might cause complications. Thinking quickly, he explained to Kazane that his divine spirit was a bit shy, making introductions difficult. Kazane looked puzzled, asking if divine spirits could even be shy. Rinoa muttered in frustration that she wasn't shy at all, and Makoto told her to hold back, saying it was a complicated situation. Kazane then raised her own hand, revealing her sacred stone, and offered to introduce her divine spirit first. With a soft glow, her upper-ranked divine spirit, Wave, the wind spirit, appeared. Bowing politely, Wave greeted Makoto with respect, to which he replied with surprise, marveling at Wave's formality and poise. Kazane then asked if he planned on taking a rank reassessment soon, and he replied that the next date was still a while away. She encouraged him to keep training in the meantime and suggested they tackle a C-rank dungeon together. Surprised, Makoto told her the gap between their strengths was too great at the moment, and he would only hold her back. He also worried about revealing Rinoa's identity, but Kazane simply smiled, reminding him that he used to lead her when they were young, and now it was her turn to lead. Her warm, reassuring smile silenced his doubts, and he agreed, recalling that they had promised to fight together. Despite the risks, he couldn't turn down the opportunity to grow. More than anything, he was happy to see Kazane's joy at the prospect of finally going on a mission together. Later, in the Tokyo Hunter Association building, the first conference room was filled with high-ranking officials discussing their main topic, the Majin. One man reported that these beings with humanoid intelligence and a rank or higher power had long maintained a low profile. However, recently, at least a dozen hunters had fallen victim to them. Survivors recalled their battles against the Majin vividly, as their strength was truly exceptional. Kimuro, the president of the Japan Hunter Association, listened and then laughed, commenting that if he were in his prime, he would have hunted them down himself, though age was proving inconvenient. Mishima, the section chief of the gate management system, scolded Kimuro, reminding him that this wasn't the time for such talk. She added that the management system she developed indicated that all gates were being properly cleared. The man continued, explaining that, according to survivors, the Majin had appeared after the gates had been cleared. This confused Mishima, who asked what purpose they served if they emerged post-clearance. Just then, Yugo entered the room, apologizing for being late. Mishima, furious, reprimanded him for his tardiness, but he brushed it off with a comment about her beautiful face, further irritating her. After the report concluded, Yugo remarked that he understood the situation and might have an idea about it. Mishima warned him not to invent stories, but he confidently assured her to leave it to him, mentioning he had some free time. Kimuro expressed his confidence in Yugo's abilities, entrusting him with the task, which Yugo accepted before leaving the room. As he exited, Yugo thought about Makoto and pondered whether his own prediction about him might prove correct. Meanwhile, at an abandoned building, Kazane and Makoto stood before a C-rank dungeon gate. Kazane asked if he was nervous, to which he admitted he was, knowing they were about to face higher-ranked demons. He also worried about Renoa's presence and how it might affect Kazane, given her history. Sensing his tension, Kazane gave him a reassuring pat on the chest, telling him not to worry as she would protect him. He smiled, thanking her but adding that he intended to prove he wasn't just there to be protected. Together, they entered the gate, where 2 C-rank demons awaited them. Makoto activated his shadow weapon, intending to assess the situation first. But before he could act, he felt a powerful gust of air beside him and saw Kazane charge forward, her spear thrusting with incredible force into a demon's head, causing it to explode. Stunned, he watched as Kazane, with an intense expression, stated that all demons needed to be eradicated. He noted the emotion driving her, far beyond what he had expected. Kazane walked back toward him, mentioning that she sensed a demonic presence nearby. She then turned to him with a piercing gaze and wondered where the presence is coming from. Panicked, Makoto realized that he might have been discovered right from the start. Makoto quickly deactivated his shadow weapon, and as the energy faded, Kazane glanced around, noting that she thought a demon had escaped. However, she reminded him that the demonic presence she had sensed earlier was real, urging him to stay alert, which he agreed to. He guessed that Kazane possessed a heightened sensitivity to the magical energy emitted by demons and had likely picked up on the shadow magic. Renoa agreed, commenting on Kazane's intense hatred for demons. Makoto confided that he wanted to explain the situation to Kazane, but, after witnessing her reaction, felt increasingly worried. A short while later, they reached the dungeon's middle area, where a swarm of demons launched themselves at them. Kazane immediately activated her wind spirit's mantle, kicking the demon to the ground before effortlessly slicing it in half with her spear as she hovered in midair. She quickly stabbed another demon, then spun her spear in a wide arc, slashing through several others around her. Makoto watched in amazement, noting her ability to fly using the power of wind. Charging forward, he took on one of the demons on the ground, announcing to Kazane that he could handle things down below. He countered the demon's hand with a swift elbow, then swung his sword to slice it in half, shouting to Kazane to leave the ground to him. Although the C-rank demons were naturally stronger than those he'd faced before, he felt his own strength had grown. Switching his shadow weapon's form into a gun, he fired repeatedly, taking down demons from a distance. Kazane observed, stunned by the transformation of his sword into a gun, marveling at the unique versatility of his ability. Soon after, they wiped out the remaining demons in the middle area. Kazane landed gracefully and smiled, complimenting him on his performance, saying he was more than holding his own against C-rank demons. He appreciated her encouragement. She looked him over, remarking that although she'd sensed a demonic presence from him earlier, she didn't feel it now, so it was probably nothing. He acknowledged her sharp detection skills and felt relieved they hadn't been discovered. However, his relief was fleeting as he questioned how long he could keep hiding the truth. Deep down, he knew Renoa wasn't an ordinary demon. She was his reliable partner. But Kazane's hatred for demons seemed boundless, leaving him clenching his fists and wondering what he should do. A moment later, they arrived at the deepest part of the dungeon. Kazane pointed out that they had reached the boss's lair and asked if he was ready to focus. Though he stammered a reply, the truth was that he was anything but calm. Sensing his anxiety, she guessed that he was nervous because it was a C-rank boss, a higher rank than they'd previously faced. He admitted this was part of it, but as he was about to explain further, she cut him off, reassuring him that it was okay because he wasn't alone. Extending her fist, she encouraged him to go all out. Makoto smiled, deciding to save the difficult conversation for after the battle. Bumping her fist, he thanked her and resolved to fight by her side, ready to face the challenge together. Makoto and Kazane entered the boss room together, immediately feeling the overwhelming presence of the C-rank dungeon boss, a towering cyclops. Kazane activated her wind spirit's mantle, declaring that she would eliminate any demon in her path. She dashed forward, spear in hand, as the cyclops lifted its massive wooden hammer to counter her. Makoto quickly used Shadowbind, wrapping chains around the cyclops club just in time to hold it in place, allowing Kazane to strike with her spear. Enraged, the cyclops shattered the chains and swung its hammer toward her. They both shouted to signal each other and dashed forward in unison, slashing the cyclops from opposite directions, causing it to roar in pain. Makoto noticed their attacks were perfectly timed. They leapt to opposite sides again, each targeting the cyclops' legs simultaneously. Kazane smiled, realizing they were both instinctively switching positions to keep the Cyclops off balance, as if they shared the same strategy. As the Cyclops screamed in agony, Makoto used Shadowbind to restrain it once more, shouting to Kazane that, now weakened, the Cyclops was easier to bind and urging her to finish it off. Thanking him, Kazane unleashed her divine power, activating her wind shower skill. The wind-powered attack struck the Cyclops, creating a loud explosion that left Makoto in awe. Running back to him, Kazane praising their teamwork. Blushing, he returned the gesture, realizing how seamlessly they worked together. This level of synchronization felt natural with Kazane, but he reminded himself there was still more work ahead. At that moment, Kazane's wind spirit, Wave, appeared, complimenting them on their teamwork. Kazane proudly replied that their years of friendship made them an unstoppable team and that this partnership could take them anywhere. Makoto swallowed nervously, approaching Kazane and admitting that there was something he needed to tell her before they continued. He began to remove his glove, preparing to reveal his sacred stone, when a sudden, loud crack echoed through the room. Both turned toward the source, wide-eyed, as they saw a gate forming. A foot stepped out from the crackling gate, followed by a hand with sharp claws. A demon man emerged, smiling as he looked at Makoto, announcing that he had finally found him. That's all for today, guys. See you on the next upload.